You bought a 65-inch TV last year, $800. Beautiful picture out of the box. The kind of upgrade that made you happy for about 3 weeks. Then the home screen started showing ads. Not just one or two. The entire interface, the place you see every single time you turn the TV on, before you launch any app, is now an advertising platform. Sponsored content, movie trailers playing automatically, recommended shows that you have no interest in but that someone paid to put there. You go into the settings. You look for an option to turn it off. The option doesn't exist, or it exists but only disables some of the ads. Or it gets reset to default the next time the TV updates itself overnight. You sit there with the remote in your hand, and you realize something has fundamentally changed about what you bought. You didn't buy a TV, you bought a screen connected to an ad platform. The TV part is just the bait, and almost nobody talks about this honestly, because the industry doesn't want you to think about it too clearly. The business model you didn't sign up for. Here's what nobody told you when you walked out of the store with that $800 TV. The manufacturer makes very little money on the TV itself, sometimes none at all. The margins on television hardware have been compressed for years, and the cheaper TVs in particular are often sold at break-even or even at a small loss. The money is in everything that happens after you plug it in. The smart platform on your TV tracks what you watch, not in some vague abstract sense. Specifically, the shows you start, the shows you finish, the shows you abandon, the apps you open, the amount of time you spend on each one, the advertisements you skip, the advertisements you don't. This data has value, enormous value. It gets packaged, anonymized in some legal sense, and sold to advertisers who use it to target you on every other device you own. Your phone, your computer, your browser, all getting more relevant ads because your TV told someone what you like. The TV is, increasingly, a surveillance device that happens to also show movies. You paid for the privilege of being watched. The free ad-scorted channels that took over. Look at your TV's home screen right now. Notice the section called something like Live Channels, or Free TV, or Channels Plus, or whatever your manufacturer brands it as. This is a relatively new addition. It didn't exist on most TVs even 5 years ago. Now it's prominent. Often it's the default home screen. The TV wants you to scroll through dozens of free streaming channels showing ad-supported content. The channels show old shows, reruns, movies that were popular 20 years ago, cooking content, news loops. The catalogs are vast, but the quality is mostly forgettable. The reason these channels exist is the ads. Every minute someone watches one of these free channels, the manufacturer makes a small amount of revenue from the advertisers. Multiply that by millions of TVs, multiplied by the average household watching time, and the numbers get serious. Some manufacturers now make more revenue from the ads on their free channels than they do from selling the TVs themselves. That's not an exaggeration. That's the financial reports talking. The TV isn't the product anymore. Your viewing time is the product. The smart platform wars you didn't notice behind the scenes? The major TV manufacturers have been fighting a quiet war over which smart platform you end up with. Some build their own. Samsung has Tizen, LG has WebOS, Vizio had its own platform before being acquired. Others license Android TV or Google TV. Roku TV models run Roku's platform built directly into the TV. Fire TV editions run Amazon's platform. You probably picked your TV based on the picture, the price, or the brand. You probably didn't realize you were also picking a multi-year relationship with a software platform that affects everything you do with that TV. Some platforms age better than others. Some get abandoned faster. Some are more aggressive with the ads. Some are more privacy respecting. Some have better app selections. Some are dramatically slower than others, even on the same hardware. The reviews you read before buying probably didn't dig into any of this. The reviewers tested the picture. They mentioned the platform briefly. They didn't tell you that the platform you're locking yourself into for the next 5-7 years is at least as important as the panel quality. You found out the hard way, after the purchase. Frame interpolation that ruined movies. This one is small, but it drives film fans genuinely insane. Modern TVs come with motion smoothing on by default. The feature is marketed as making sports look smoother and reducing motion blur. The actual effect is that movies and TV shows shot at 24 frames per second get artificially smoothed out, creating what's commonly called the soap opera effect. Movies start looking like they were shot on a cheap camcorder. The dramatic cinematography that filmmakers carefully crafted gets flattened into something that resembles a 1980s daytime soap. The fix is to turn it off. The setting is buried in menus, called different things on different brands: True Motion on LG, Auto Motion Plus on Samsung, Action Smoothing on Vizio. You have to go find it and disable it. Most TV owners never do. Most TV owners don't even know it's a setting. They just watch movies that look slightly wrong without being able to articulate why. This is what the modern TV looks like out of the box. Motion smoothing on, vivid mode on, dynamic contrast cranked up, sharpness over-sharpened. Every default setting designed to grab attention in a store, not to reproduce content accurately. You paid for a TV capable of beautiful picture quality. The TV refuses to show you that picture quality unless you go change 5 different settings buried in menus. The HDMI cable that didn't work this catches new TV owners off guard with surprising frequency. You buy your premium TV. You connect it to your existing devices using your existing HDMI cables. Something doesn't work. Maybe the resolution doesn't go to 4K. Maybe high dynamic range doesn't activate. Maybe the picture flickers occasionally for no apparent reason. You search online. You discover that modern TV features require modern Algeria cables, specifically 2.1 cables for the highest resolutions and refresh rates. The cables you already own, the ones that worked perfectly fine with your last TV, might not be sufficient. A new high-speed HDMI cable costs anywhere from $20 to $50. You need several of them. Suddenly, the $800 TV requires another $600 to $100 in cables. The packaging doesn't mention this. The salesperson didn't mention this. You only learn about it when something doesn't work and you go diving into forums. This is small. It also adds up. The total cost of actually using a modern TV correctly is meaningfully higher than the sticker price. The voice assistant that heard everything almost every modern TV has a microphone built into the remote, sometimes into the TV itself. The microphone is supposed to be only listening when you press a specific button or speak a specific wake word. In theory, it's secure. In practice, the implementation varies wildly by brand and model. There have been documented cases of TVs accidentally recording conversations and sending them to servers when they shouldn't have. There have been cases of voice command data being stored indefinitely on cloud servers. There have been cases where the voice features connect to third-party services that share data with advertisers. Most TV owners never think about this. They use the voice features occasionally to search for movies. They forget the microphone exists for the rest of the time. But the microphone exists. It's always there. And the privacy policies governing what it captures and how that capture is used are usually buried in legal documents nobody reads. You bought a TV. You also bought a microphone in your living room that you didn't entirely understand the implications of. The pixel refresher that doesn't quite fix anything old TV owners learn about this feature in their first year of ownership. The pixel refresher, also called a panel refresh or compensation cycle, is a maintenance routine the TV runs automatically. It's supposed to even out the pixels and reduce the risk of burn-in. Some TVs run it after a few hours of cumulative use. Others run it overnight. When it runs, the TV becomes unavailable. The screen displays a message saying not to unplug it. The process takes anywhere from 10 minutes to over an hour depending on the brand. This is presented as a feature, as maintenance, as protection. What it really is an acknowledgement that old panels degrade over time, that uneven wear is a real problem, and that the manufacturer is trying to extend the useful life of the panel through software intervention. The compensation cycles work mostly for the first few years. They become less effective as the panel ages. Eventually, even with the cycles running regularly, the panel will start showing visible signs of wear, bands of color shift, areas of slightly different brightness, the faint outline of frequently displayed content. The TV is fighting against its own physical limitations. You're watching that fight in real time, every time the compensation cycle runs. The TV still works, sort of. The streaming app tacks inside every TV you bought the TV. You pay for streaming services separately. You'd think the TV manufacturer doesn't make additional money from your Netflix subscription. Think again. Streaming services pay manufacturers for prominent placement on remotes. Those Netflix and Prime Video and Disney buttons aren't free. The companies that make the streaming services pay the TV manufacturers to put those buttons there. The placement is valuable. Most people who use those buttons stick with the services those buttons represent. Manufacturers also get revenue from the apps themselves in various ways. Sometimes through revenue sharing on signups initiated through the TV, sometimes through pre-installation fees, sometimes through promotional placements on the home screen. The streaming app ecosystem inside your TV is not a neutral marketplace. It's a paid marketplace where companies that pay more get more visibility. You're more likely to discover a streaming service that paid for prominent placement than one that didn't. The TV is shaping your viewing habits in subtle ways you didn't consent to. The repair that doesn't exist anymore. Open up the back of a TV from 2008. You'll find separate boards, replaceable components, a power supply that's modular, connections that are accessible. Open up the back of a TV from 2025. You'll find boards that are glued together, components that are surface-mounted with no way to access individual chips, ribbon cables that snap into place once and break if you try to disconnect them, power supplies integrated into the main board. If something fails, you can't repair the part. You replace the entire board. The board costs hundreds of dollars. The labor to replace it costs hundreds more. Or, more commonly, the manufacturer doesn't make the replacement board available at all. They tell you the TV is out of service life. They recommend buying a new one. Right to repair laws are slowly changing this in some places. The change is uneven, slow, and often only applies to the most recent models. The vast majority of TVs sold in the last decade are effectively unrepairable. A TV from 1998 could be fixed at a local repair shop for $50 in many cases. A TV from 2025 has no local repair option for most failures. The math has inverted. The refresh cycle that wears you out? Here's the part that exhausts owners the most. The TV industry has settled into a cycle where the model you buy today is replaced by a slightly better model in 12 to 18 months. The reviewers move on. The manufacturer focuses its software updates on the newer models. Your TV, the one you bought less than 2 years ago, starts to feel slightly stale. Not broken, not failing, just slightly behind. The new models have features yours doesn't. The interfaces feel snappier. The smart platforms get more updates. The newer panels are slightly better. You start to feel a quiet pressure to upgrade, not because you need to, because everything around you suggests that what you have is already old. This pressure is manufactured. It's intentional. It's the same psychological pattern the phone industry perfected 15 years ago, and the TV industry has been quietly adopting. You bought a TV that will probably last 10 years physically. The industry wants you to replace it every 5. That gap is where the marketing lives. The honest truth about TV ownership in 2026, the TV industry has changed in ways that most buyers haven't fully processed yet. You're not buying a piece of hardware anymore. You're buying a relationship. A multi-year subscription to a smart platform, an advertising ecosystem, a data collection system, a software lifecycle that the manufacturer controls entirely. The hardware is increasingly a delivery mechanism for everything else. This isn't a moral judgment. It's just the reality. The economics of TV manufacturing forced this shift. The companies that didn't make this shift went out of business or got acquired. The companies that survived made these choices. If you're shopping for a TV soon, the practical advice has changed. Look at the smart platform almost as carefully as you look at the picture quality. Understand what data the TV collects and whether you can opt out. Plan to use a separate streaming device from day one to bypass the TV's smart features entirely. Disable as many of the default settings as you can find, especially motion smoothing and dynamic features. Consider whether you want a microphone in your living room. Read what the TV does, not just what it shows. The picture is one part of the experience. The platform is the rest. Drop a comment with the most invasive or annoying behavior your TV has started exhibiting since you bought it. The replies are going to look uncomfortably similar across brands. Somewhere in a basement, there's an old plasma TV that doesn't track anything, doesn't show ads on its home screen, doesn't update itself overnight, doesn't have a microphone, doesn't need a software platform. It just shows whatever you connect to it. That used to be normal. Now it feels almost rebellious. The TV industry quietly changed. Most buyers haven't noticed yet. The ones who have are starting to make different choices. The next purchase is the one where it matters most.